the reluctant captain. Nikolai Reeves had always preferred the company of machines to people. In the quiet solitude of Outpost Zeta 9, orbiting the gas giant Procyon 6, he found comfort in the predictable nature of the engines he maintained. His calloused hands moved with practiced precision as he calibrated the outpost's atmospheric regulators, a task others found tedious but that brought him a sense of peace. Reeves. The voice of station manager Portman crackled through his comm unit, breaking his concentration. There's a priority transmission for you. Some legal representative. Says it's urgent. Nikolai frowned. Nobody contacted him, especially not legal representatives. I'll be right there, he replied, wiping grease from his fingers. The communications deck was unnaturally silent when he arrived. The usual bustle of technicians had ceased, all eyes following him as he approached the main console. On the screen waited a severe-looking woman with silver hair pulled back into a tight bun, her expression unreadable. Mr. Reeves, she began, her voice crisp and formal. I am Helene Frost, executor of your Uncle Dominic Reeves' estate. I regret to inform you of his passing 3 standard weeks ago. Nikolai blinked, processing the information. Uncle Dom. The black sheep of the family. The man who had vanished into the stars when Nikolai was just a child, sending occasional cryptic messages over the years before disappearing completely a decade ago. I didn't know, Nikolai stammered, suddenly aware of the watching crowd. Your uncle has named you sole inheritor of his estate, Frost continued, including his vessel. Nikolai nearly laughed. Uncle Dom had owned a ship? Probably some junker freighter or mining skiff. The Chimera's wrath awaits your claim at Aureus Station, Frost added. I suggest you come immediately. There are interested parties who would prefer the ship change hands. The name hung in the air like a physical presence. Even Nikolai, isolated as he was, knew of the Chimera's wrath, a legendary warship, said to be capable of destroying small moons, that had disappeared from public knowledge years ago. His hands began to tremble. There must be some mistake, he said, his voice barely audible. No mistake, Mr. Reeves. A transport has been arranged. Pack only what you need. With that, the transmission ended, leaving Nikolai standing alone in stunned silence. The transport ship that arrived the next day was unmarked, sleek, and obviously military-grade despite its civilian appearance. Its pilot, a tall woman with copper skin and a weathered face, introduced herself briskly. Tessa Varga, first officer of the Chimera's wrath. Her handshake was firm, appraising. You don't look much like Dom. Nikolai fidgeted under her scrutiny. I barely knew him. That much is obvious. She gestured him aboard. But he knew you, watched your career, said you had the touch with machines. The journey to Aureus Station passed in tense silence. Nikolai's mind raced with questions he was too intimidated to ask. Instead, he stared out at the void, his reflection in the viewport showing a man he barely recognized, pale, wide-eyed, terrified. Aureus Station appeared suddenly, a massive space installation hidden within an asteroid field. As they approached a private docking bay, Nikolai caught his first glimpse of the Chimera's wrath. It wasn't the largest ship he'd ever seen, but something about its design suggested contained power. Its hull was matte black, absorbing rather than reflecting light, with angular lines that hinted at predatory speed. No visible weapons betrayed its true nature, but Nikolai's engineers could sense the destructive potential concealed beneath its elegant exterior. She's beautiful, he whispered despite himself. Tessa nodded. And now she's yours, if you have the courage to claim her. The ship's interior was a marvel of engineering that made Nikolai momentarily forget his anxiety. Systems more advanced than anything he'd encountered were integrated seamlessly with technology he recognized from ancient military archives. His fingers traced control panels reverently. Your uncle made modifications, Tessa explained as she led him through corridors to the bridge. The Chimera was already exceptional when he acquired it. But Dom was a visionary. How did he get a military vessel of this caliber? Nikolai asked. That's a long story involving 3 governments, a revolution, and a card game. Her smile was tight. The important thing is that it's legitimate now. Mostly. The bridge took Nikolai's breath away. Curved viewports revealed the vastness of space, while holographic displays showed ship systems in meticulous detail. At the center stood the captain's chair, empty, waiting. This is. I can't. Nikolai's chest tightened. I'm an engineer, not a captain. I fix things. I don't lead people. Dom said you'd say that. Tessa's expression softened slightly. Listen, Reeves. This ship isn't just a ship. It's one of the most powerful weapons in known space. And there are people, dangerous people, who'd kill to possess it. As if summoned by her words, alarms began to blare. A crew member Nikolai hadn't noticed rushed to a console. Unidentified vessels approaching. 3. No, for ships, heavily armed. Tessa cursed. They found us faster than expected. General Varick must have informants in the executor's office. She turned to Nikolai, eyes hard. Decision time, Captain. The Chimera responds only to Reeves' DNA now. Either you take command, or we're defenseless. Nikolai's hands trembled violently. The weight of responsibility crashed down on him like a physical force. He was no captain, no leader. He was just Nikolai Reeves, the quiet engineer who preferred machines to the messiness of human interaction. I can't, he whispered, backing away from the captain's chair. I don't know how to command a warship. I don't know how to fight. You don't have to know everything, Tessa replied, her voice urgent as tactical displays showed the approaching vessels. You just have to be brave enough to try. Nikolai stared at the empty chair, his uncle's legacy. Whatever had made Dom choose him, a nephew he barely knew, had to mean something. With trembling fingers, he reached toward the control panel beside the captain's chair. What do I do? He asked, his voice steadier than he felt. Place your hand on the scanner. The ship will recognize you. The moment Nikolai's palm touched the cool surface, the bridge illuminated with new light. Systems that had been dormant surged to life. The ship seemed to awaken around him, responding to his presence. Welcome, Captain Reeves, came a synthesized voice. Chimera's wrath awaiting your command. Nikolai swallowed hard and looked at the tactical display showing the approaching enemy vessels. His inheritance, his responsibility, his fear remained, a knot in his stomach, but something else stirred alongside it, a determination he hadn't known he possessed. Show me what this ship can do, he said softly, lowering himself into the captain's chair as the first shots from their pursuers streaked toward them. Flight into the unknown. The bridge of the Chimera's wrath erupted into controlled chaos as enemy fire streaked toward them. Nikolai gripped the arms of the captain's chair, his knuckles white with tension. Shields at maximum. Tessa barked, taking position at the tactical station. Evasive pattern delta. The ship responded with remarkable agility for its size, banking hard to avoid the incoming barrage. Only a glancing blow struck their aft shields, the impact barely registering as a slight tremor through the deck. Captain, a deep voice called from the weapons console. Permission to return fire? Nikolai turned to see a broad-shouldered man with a cybernetic right eye that glowed faintly blue. His dark skin was marked with intricate scarification patterns that identified him as from the Callisto colonies. That's Darius Kane, Tessa said. Weapons specialist. Best shot in 3 systems. Kane's expression remained neutral, but Nikolai detected skepticism in his stance. This crew had served under his uncle, a seasoned commander. Now they were expected to follow a station engineer who'd never even fired a ship's weapons. Can we outrun them? Nikolai asked, his mind racing through options. A slender woman with iridescent tattoos flowing across her temples spoke from the navigation console. Negative, Captain. They've positioned to cut off escape vectors to civilized space. Lyra Narrow, Tessa explained. Navigator. There's nowhere she can't take us, if given the chance. Nikolai's engineer's instincts kicked in as he studied the tactical display. Those ships are Valkyr-class interceptors. Fast, but their reactor shielding is notoriously vulnerable at the exhaust ports. Kane raised an eyebrow, clearly surprised by Nikolai's knowledge. Target their port thrusters, Nikolai ordered, finding confidence in technical facts. Minimal yield. I don't want to destroy them, just disable their pursuit capability. Kane's hands moved across his console. Targeting solutions acquired. Fire. The Chimera's weapons discharged with surgical precision. The pursuing ship scattered, one spinning out of control as its thruster assembly exploded. Direct hit. Kane announced, a note of respect entering his voice. Jump to FTL, Nikolai commanded. Random vector, get us out of here. Lyra's fingers danced across her controls. Calculating jump parameters. Ready on your mark. Execute. The stars stretched into streaks of light as the Chimera's wrath tore through the fabric of space, leaving their pursuers behind. Nikolai released a breath he hadn't realized he was holding. Damage report. Minimal shield depletion. No structural damage, reported a wiry technician from the engineering station. Your uncle built this ship to last, Captain. The formal address still felt wrong to Nikolai's ears. He wasn't a captain, he was an engineer who'd accidentally inherited a warship. Yet somehow, he just survived his first space battle. Who were they? He asked Tessa. General Ekron Varick's forces. He and your uncle had history. She studied him with newfound interest. That was good thinking with the thrusters. Most commanders would have gone for a kill shot. I fix things, Nikolai replied simply. I don't destroy them if I can help it. Over the next few days, Nikolai slowly acquainted himself with the ship and its crew. Many remained distant, watching him with wary eyes, but others began to warm to him, particularly after word spread of his technical knowledge and his reluctance to use lethal force during their escape. In the ship's massive engine room, Nikolai found himself truly at home for the first time since boarding. The Chimera's propulsion system was a marvel, a quantum fusion drive unlike anything he'd ever encountered, capable of power outputs that defied conventional physics. Beautiful, isn't it? Nikolai turned to find an elderly man watching him with amusement. His wrinkled face was adorned with a neatly trimmed white beard, and he wore engineering coveralls similar to Nikolai's own. Chief Engineer Jiro Tanaka, the old man introduced himself with a slight bow. I served with your uncle for 20 years. It's incredible, Nikolai admitted, gesturing to the pulsing core of the drive. I've never seen integration like this. The way the quantum matrices are aligned with the spatial harmonizers is. It shouldn't be possible. Jiro laughed. Dom said you'd appreciate it. He designed most of the modifications himself. Why me? Nikolai asked suddenly. Why would he leave all this to someone he barely knew? Jiro's expression grew serious. Your uncle was many things, not all of them good, but he was an excellent judge of character. He must have seen something in you that the rest of us are still discovering. Before Nikolai could press further, his comm unit buzzed. Captain, Tessa's voice came through. We found something in your uncle's quarters you need to see. Dominic Reeves' private quarters were spacious but surprisingly austere. A large viewport offered a view of stars streaking by, while sparse furnishings suggested a man who spent little time at rest. Tessa stood beside a desk where a small device projected a holographic message. It was keyed to your DNA. Only you could activate it. The hologram flickered, resolving into the image of a man Nikolai barely recognized, older, weathered, with hard eyes that had seen too much. Uncle Dom, Nikolai, the recording began. If you're seeing this, then I'm dead and you've accepted your inheritance. I'm sorry for the burden I've placed on you. The hologram shifted, showing technical schematics of the Chimera. This ship is more than a weapon. It's the key to something greater. The official story is that the Chimera's wrath was decommissioned after the Procyon conflict, but the truth is more complicated. This vessel carries experimental technology that could shift the balance of power in the galaxy. Dom's expression grew grim. There's a vault on board, coordinates encrypted in the ship's main computer. It contains everything you need to understand what we discovered. Trust Tessa and Jiro with your life, but be careful who else you confide in. General Varick will stop at nothing to obtain what we found. The message ended abruptly, leaving Nikolai with more questions than answers. Did you know about this? He asked Tessa. Parts of it, she admitted. Dom kept secrets, even from me. A sudden explosion rocked the ship, throwing them both against the wall. What was that? Nikolai demanded as they rushed toward the bridge. The scene that greeted them was one of betrayal. Lyra Nero stood with a weapon trained on Darius Kane, who lay bleeding on the deck. 3 crew members Nikolai didn't recognize had taken control of key stations. "Sorry about this, Captain," Lyra said coldly. "But General Varric pays better than your uncle ever did. She disabled our weapons and dropped us out of FTL," Kane growled through gritted teeth. "Varric's dreadnought is on approach." Nikolai's mind raced. The ship's schematics he'd studied flashed through his memory: systems, bypasses, redundancies. "Tanaka," he whispered into his comm, "Emergency Protocol 7-3. "What are you doing?" Lyra demanded, pointing her weapon at Nikolai. "Something my uncle taught me," he replied with newfound calm. "Never trust anyone completely." The lights on the bridge flickered and died, plunging them into darkness. When the emergency systems activated seconds later, Nikolai was already moving. He slammed his palm onto a hidden panel beneath the captain's chair, activating a security protocol that his engineers had discovered during his study of the ship. Stun fields activated, immobilizing Lyra and her conspirators. Kane struggled to his feet, retrieving his weapon. "Your orders, Captain?" he asked, respect evident in his voice. A massive dreadnought appeared on their view screens, bearing down on them with weapons charged. "Tessa, get to tactical. Kane, help her if you can." Nikolai took the captain's chair with newfound determination. "Tanaka, I need maximum power to the quantum drive. It's unstable at these levels," the engineer warned over the comm. "Trust me," Nikolai replied. "I've studied the specifications. There's a way out of this." As Varric's dreadnought launched fighters toward them, Nikolai's fingers flew across the controls with the precision that had made him the best engineer on Outpost Zeta 9. "Recalibrating quantum matrices," he announced. "Preparing for spatial fold." "That's theoretical technology," Tessa protested. "It's never been successfully tested." "My uncle tested it," Nikolai replied with sudden certainty. "That's what he discovered, a way to bend space itself." The approaching fighters opened fire, their shots dissipating against the Chimera's shields. "Shields at 60%, Kane reported. "We can't take much more." "We won't have to." Nikolai activated the final sequence. "Hold on to something." The Chimera's wrath shuddered as its quantum drive reconfigured, creating a phenomenon never before achieved by any known vessel. Space itself seemed to fold around them, and in an instant, they were gone, vanished from known space into a realm between realities. When the view screen stabilized, they showed an unfamiliar star's cape, glittering with possibilities. "Where are we?" Tessa asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Nikolai checked the navigation systems, a smile spreading across his face despite the danger they'd just escaped. "According to these readings, we're beyond the outer rim. Uncharted space." He looked around at the crew who now watched him with something approaching awe. "And we're just getting started." In that moment, Nikolai Reeves, once just a quiet engineer, felt his uncle's legacy truly take hold. The trembling in his hands had stopped, replaced by a steady certainty. The Chimera's wrath was his ship now, and whatever secrets it held, whatever adventures awaited, he would face them not with fear, but with the courage he never knew he possessed. Retry Claude can make mistakes. Please double-check responses.